Hey gang, what's up? So currently we're right around the corner from the Oscars happening on the 10th of March. Very exciting and a very late night. As you're probably aware, Oppenheimer is in line to sweep the Oscars, just like it did with BAFTAs, winning 7 of them, and overall almost winning 200 awards worldwide so far. Seeing as this is most likely to win Best Picture at the Oscars, although something could happen, you never know, and I've been lucky enough to see it twice recently, I thought I'd do a review into analysing why this film has been such a global phenomenon. I'm becoming more confident with doing YouTube stuff, so after this review I might shake a few things up of how I do my videos. If there's anything you want to see going forward, do let me know. And if you enjoy this one, I could look at some of the other things in mind for the Oscars that probably won't win. I'm really rooting for holdovers though. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Oppenheimer was a 2023 film directed and written by Christopher Nolan after his many successes with titles such as Tenet, Inception and the Dark Knight trilogy. Nolan decided to create a feature on J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, following receiving some quotes from Oppenheimer from Robert Pattinson at the end of production on Tenet. Filming for the film took place between February and May of 2022, and it was released alongside Barbie in August 2023, sparking the cinema phenomenon known as Barbenheimer. The film was based on the book American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer, written by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin, which was a Pulitzer Prize winning biography. The film made around $82.4 million in its opening weekend and went on to become one of the highest grossing R-rated films ever, just missing out of the $1 billion club. Nolan brought in his most trusted production team, including producer Emma Thomas, cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema, and music from Ludwig Göransson. For the casual audience, Oppenheimer has a lot going on in terms of storyline, nicely diversified by the editing of Jennifer Lane. Essentially, the film is a character-driven story revolving around Oppenheimer in his work to create the atomic bomb during the Second World War for America, along with the repercussions of his actions in the following terms of his life. This is intercut with the story of Louis Strauss, painted as the villain in the overall narrative, as he works to undermine Oppenheimer's reputation and secure him not as a martyr. This is a non-linear narrative structure which, like many Nolan productions, deals with time as an essential storytelling device. These two plot lines are framed as Fission, the colour subjective narrative following Oppenheimer, and Fusion, Strauss's objective black and white timeline in court. The story concerns crucial figures in Oppenheimer's life, such as his wife Kitty, the general in charge of the Manhattan Project, and many of the very scientists that worked on the experiment. Along the way, a central tipping point in the story becomes a conversation with Albert Einstein, a conversation that in real history never happened, as Oppenheimer and he were not close. Aside from this, the film remains historically accurate for the most part, but as with all events drawn from real life to film, an audience won't specifically know what did and didn't really happen, redefining history in the process. However, additions that are made here to adjust the story are well thought through and harmlessly integrated, as many biopics struggle with in the years. The conversation simply works to lay out the themes of the film, which we'll get into now. On the surface, the film deals with the creation of the atomic bomb and the effect that had on the rest of the world. The state of the world had forced Oppenheimer's hand in creating the bomb before it could be used to worse effect elsewhere. This is a difficult moral decision that haunted the rest of his life, causing him to be a well-known public figure through his attachment to the device that killed hundreds of thousands of people. It's made even more fascinating by the fact that they had to rely on anti-Semitism in Germany in order to be successful. This is a grand political theme and shocking to the audience, providing insight into the short-sightedness of some leaders' ideologies, such as Hitler removing his best scientists due to their faith. Furthermore, this theme continues into Oppenheimer being targeted by Strauss due to his former connections to American communism. Looking deeper, this film deals heavily with themes of personal and public lifestyles through the matter of perception. Interestingly, many people I know who have seen the film were surprised at how little focus there is on the atomic bomb's effect on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in that you didn't see anything of it past it leaving the scientists' hands. This is due to the film being a character case study into Oppenheimer specifically and the part he played, directing our perspective onto him. This is something I find beautiful about filmmaking, as topics can be repeated thousands of times by thousands of different people, but you will every time end up with a different outcome due to the vision and interpretation of that production team. Nolan wanted us to focus on Oppenheimer in his work and flawed home life with his wife Kitty and their children, alongside Strauss's external viewpoint on him that has been twisted to appear in Strauss's favour. Like many intelligent people, Oppenheimer may be able to work on this terrifying concept, but struggles with everyday living and family balance. We are more so able to understand Oppenheimer as a tragic figure plagued with a very important event that he's known for. Interestingly, the way Oppenheimer portrays these themes is very similar to The Social Network, following the creation of Facebook in the way that it pushes forward technology in the modern world. Both figures, Oppenheimer and Mark Zuckerberg, opened a can of worms that will never stop squirming. Their ideals and bonds to those around them are analysed similarly and recontextualise them as people. This can be known as the Great Man Theory. As mentioned previously, the entire film is a case study into Oppenheimer and his themes of balance and moral responsibility that follow him. So let's look at some other characters. Namely, Louis Strauss. In the film, he has a personal vendetta against Oppenheimer for a conversation with Einstein that never actually happened in real life. But this provides the story with an objective viewpoint and a clear antagonist and foil to Oppenheimer. In real life, Strauss disliked Oppenheimer due to his popularity following the success of the Manhattan Project and his constant step-ups to gain credibility with science of the United States. Strauss strove to remove his power and sat in a position where he could do so, with the right backing and angle, as if not to paint himself as the villain in the public eye. The man resented Oppenheimer's lifestyle and the humiliation that he had publicly caused him, and this is put across brilliantly by Nolan in giving him a key storyline that unfolds throughout the film in conjunction with Oppenheimer's. From a different angle, we then get General Leslie Groves, another foil to Oppenheimer whose strong military standpoints cause conflict with Oppenheimer's less regimented scientific approach. While the two work together at Los Alamos, Groves tries to blur the lines in doing what's best for the security of the project and the country, while Oppenheimer frees himself and considers the moral aspects in more depth. Although these two characters have many differences, and they couldn't see eye to eye, there was a deep respect felt that allowed them to collaborate on something truly not in either's control. One last key character to touch upon and later revisit in this video is Kitty Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer's wife. A woman so devoted to her husband's work with a terrible track record of previous marriages that keeps Oppenheimer in his path to figure out the bomb in the first place. She also doesn't agree with its moral implications, but knows her husband is the one to push it forward, not standing back and walking away. She is a very complex woman who may be seen as rebellious in terms of the period stereotypes and the professions she carried out, but this grounded strength to support the ones she loved and bloom potential is admirable. When Oppenheimer is being shut down by Strauss's board, she is able to hold her own and combat their lines of questioning more than her husband could ever try. This is a remarkable woman who won't back down without a fight. That nicely leads us into the immaculate performances of this film. As you're probably aware, this all-star cast is truly impressive and proves how Nolan will only work with the best. No wonder 3 of them have been nominated for Oscars, and definitely 2 of those will turn into wins over the weekend. Everyone in the film pulls it out of the bag and sells this controversial story, gripping you for its 3-hour duration. I think I should discuss why these 3 in particular are successful. First, Cillian Murphy, most known for Peaky Blinders and being one of Nolan's repeated cast members, deserves all of the praise he's receiving. He portrays this tragic character with complexity and grounds him from a title into a morally interesting person. Nolan definitely had him in mind when writing the part, as it seems designed for him. This year's Oscars are such high quality across the board, and in any other year I'd love to see Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, but in this case, as also being Cillian's first nomination after several flawless career-defining performances, you gotta give it to him. Moving on to supporting actor, Robert Downey Jr. totally transforms as Strauss. Many people I know didn't even recognise it was him, which is a credit to how he channels the character, especially after such a recognisable staple in cinema through the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Iron Man. It's great to see his career shine again after a few duds that he hasn't been allowed to excel in. This proves the importance of good writing. Also, side note, the prosthetics and makeup for this entire cast as they age through the film are incredibly believable. I didn't even recognise Gary Oldman was the president even on a second viewing when I knew it was him. And finally, the person who likely won't be winning the Oscar unfortunately, but hey ho, is Emily Blunt as Kitty. I wasn't sold on her performance until her speech in the hearing that told me exactly why she deserves a lot of credit for this performance. I do believe Davine Joy Randolph for Holdovers should win the award, but Blunt's first nomination is wildly overdue. Blunt has found herself in many iconic roles such as Mary Poppins Returns, Devil Wears Prada and Sicario. Hopefully she and Matt Damon can appear in a film together properly, as they never really met in this film. Their pair interviews during the press junket for this film were amazing as they're good friends in real life, and haven't been in a film together other than The Adjustment Bureau. Damon also has a great performance in this film as the General, and can hold his own against Murphy. As well as all of these, appearances from Florence Pugh, Rami Malek, Alden Ehrenreich and many others carry this incredible script forward in its glory. I do respect Nolan's mantra of not using visual effects. I mean, it still does, and films will always, especially with removing wires and such, but on the whole the film remains authentic. The explosion effects and editing from Jennifer Lane are seamless and sell the explosions in both visuals and sound. Unfortunately, I don't think this film will win Best Sound due to Zone of Interest's entire point, but I hope the editing is successful. We'll see how well this video ages in the next few days. I'm so glad I was able to experience the film in 70mm film stock in IMAX, as it was intended, although that did mess with my already very dodgy vision. I felt I could appreciate the changing aspect ratios and filming devices more. This is a film that stands taller on its second viewing, and I generally believe that if a film can't do that, it falls flat, which is where a lot of Marvel things fall apart for me. Finally, as usual, I want to briefly touch on the music. Since the success of Black Panther and The Mandalorian, Ludwig Göransson has found great success in his film scores, previously working with Nolan on Tenet. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tenet score, here he hits gold. It's very rare to hear a film score without rest for as long as it does. The score intensifies Nolan's theme of time, creating a time bubble where the film doesn't feel like its true length. He is strongly able to differentiate loud and quiet noises, giving the film more space to work with. Too often in modern cinema, the music is flattened and in its breadth and volume. The space gives the film more fluidity and highlights certain moments, such as the test explosion in the climax. I'm pretty sure there's no break in the score for the first 40 minutes, which is very rare to find. In conclusion, Oppenheimer was a masterful creation that pulls from an absolute goldmine in history that's still yet to be discovered, really. Stories like this to be told so history doesn't have to repeat itself and make the younger audience aware of what happened. The creation of the atomic bomb unleashed a powerful new discovery that is still reshaping the world, and it's still got potential going forward. The film is an important moment in modern cinema to express the danger of science like this in the wrong hands, and also make sure people in the right hands are using it wisely, if at all. Atomic weapons are just a ticking time bomb, and this film perfectly highlights that due to Nolan's guide over it. This is a very crucial film to come out right now with everything going on in the world with various wars. Overall, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. The film is masterful but not perfect in my eyes. As in many of Nolan's films, it does become quite caught up in itself at points, and it leaves you to repeat viewing to make sure you definitely caught everything. It can become unfocused slightly, but on the whole, the visuals, performances and sound editing really pulls this film together. It does deserve to be the best picture of 2023, and that is absolutely what I see happening. So in advance, well done. I wonder what the rest of this year will bring forward to compete in the Oscars next year. Maybe Dune Part 2? Who knows? We'll give that one a watch soon. Anyways, thanks for watching and supporting the channel as always. If you'd like to see me review any of the other Best Picture nominations for this year, do let me know in the comments, as there are some quite fascinating ones. It's a strong lineup. I'm currently working on a review for Lilo & Stitch after my very controversial Disney ranking. Thanks my friends for pointing out some of that. Hopefully I'll be seeing Dune Part 2 and Kung Fu Panda 4 soon, so I might look into doing reviews for those. In the meantime, do have a look at what else is going on this channel, and do subscribe if you haven't already. We're nearing 200, which is wonderful. So, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.